Well. Hello, hello. Great to see you all. It's so good to see you guys this evening. My goodness, we actually have a show. It didn't look like we'd have a show today. And it's been a week and a half, man. We're so glad to see you guys, and I'm so relieved. I mean, we actually at some point thought we were going to cancel the show just because there's so much going on. I mean, this has been like one of the busiest weeks of our lives. But we're here.
Yep, we're here.
We made it. We made it, and we're excited to be here. Yeah. Really good to see everybody here. Who's on today? Who's already on?
Well, I can see. I think we said a little bit late, so people here are saying they waited patiently.
So sorry.
So there is Carol Ota at Nokras Riverine. Can't wait.
Nice.
Then there's Salvador Agina waiting patiently. What more time do we start? Well, it's 3 minutes. Revealed is there from Berlin. Welcome. Tasha from Kampala, welcome.
Nice.
Hey, today we have quite a few difficult names from Kampala. There's also Emily, I suspect, is also from Kampala. Hello. Patricia Kuria from Nairobi. Janet, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Then there's Daphne Mugabe. Very expectant. Fantastic.
Awesome. We're looking forward to, hey, if you're watching this and your friends are not watching it, you need to send them a link. Just share this with them. Tell them it's time, man. It's time. Let's do this. We've got such a great show today.
Yeah.
And we're going to be telling you a little about our week.
Yeah.
But before we do, we probably need to let our guests in because they're at the door.
They are at the door.
So should we let them in and then tell guys about our week once the guests are in?
Well.
We'll just change it.
Yeah, but what I want to say is that today we're discussing attitudes that keep us poor.
Yep.
So imagine, please just tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
If you have friends who have bad attitudes.
Gotta be here. And don't be fooled by their lifestyle. Some guys have Mercedeses and they're gonna be poor. I mean, and that sounds like a harsh thing to say, but it's true. We really. I mean, poverty it's a thing in the mind, huh?
Yeah.
You can have a big salary and just end up really poor.
So you have those relatives who keep cooperating you, borrowing from you some money. So please tag them. Please call
friends
them.
And enemies.
Please share. Yeah, just.
And frenemies.
Yeah.
So okay. So let's.
Yeah. So now we can get our guests. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our guests are with us, and we're going to admit them in a sec. Let me just put them in. You know who they are.
Yeah, today we sent.
And we are so excited to have them here. They are Moses and Ari, or Moses and Sarah Mukisa.
Yeah.
And they are basically some of our really amazingly good friends.
Yeah.
So glad to have you guys. Hey, turn on your videos, guys, because it's great to have you if you can hear us. And they're all the way in Kampala. Pearl of Uganda. There they are. Oh my gosh. It's so good to see you guys. We haven't seen you in a while, so we feel like you're in our house.
Yeah. I can see hair grew.
Thank you.
Hair grew for who? For Moses?
Yeah.
Hi, Ari.
Yeah, I haven't seen Pastor Moses with hair. I mean,
Pastor Moses, you've got hair, man.
You've got hair. We didn't know that.
The afro.
I'm sorry. Even the salons were closed. So
oh my gosh. Pastor Ari,
I thought I had the bald head. I have hair actually.
You actually do have hair, man.
Yeah.
Lots of it too.
You have lots of it, yeah.
And Ari, it's so good to see you. Sarah, you're looking lovely as usual.
Yeah.
You guys,
good to see you too.
I think lockdown has been good to you, man.
Yeah.
You're both looking younger and just really cool. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Asking for a Friend. And this is a weekly show that we do, a marriage show. And we're so excited to have you guys on for the first time. Hopefully not for the last.
Yeah.
And we hope you had a great week. We had an amazing week.
Yes.
But before we tell you about our week, we better ask you about yours. Let's be polite.
Yeah.
So maybe each of you could give us a highlight from your week. What's your week been like? Start with you, Sarah.
My highlight is that we had Day of Prayer this Saturday.
Awesome.
It was a whole day of prayer, and my highlight was that I got to teach for the first time at Day of Prayer. So
nice.
I'm really excited about that opportunity.
Oh my! I hope they recorded it. We want to listen.
They did.
Oh, nice.
They did.
Awesome. Send us that. We love that. How about?
I will.
And for you, Mose, what's your highlight? Your wife got to teach instead of you, so you got to rest. I know that's a highlight, but what else? Yeah.
Let's just laugh about it.
Okay, you didn't rest.
You didn't rest.
Well, Day of Prayer was also my highlight because we're ending our season 21 and we're at a word of prayer, listening to different messages, times of praying. It was really good. Really, when I look at the last 1 week, I feel like that was the highlight.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
so good. I'm sure it was really spectacular. We also had a 21-day prayer emphasis at the beginning of the year, and
Yeah.
it
You can
was.
see this is his fasting body.
This is my. I always look like this.
Oh,
What's
no,
up
no,
with
this is
you?
your fasting body.
This is. Well, but it's a healthy body. I
yeah,
feel
it's a
good.
healthy body.
You look younger.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had a fantastic time. Great experiences from people. Great testimonies. Great stories. So
Yeah.
I can imagine when you talk about that being your highlight, I can imagine what
Yeah.
that must have been spectacular. Well, we had an incredible week. What was your highlight?
Yes. Oh, my highlight is that we finally moved house.
We moved house,
So exciting.
and
So good.
I wish I could tell you like what you're seeing right now
Is our house,
is like
but
our
it's
new
not.
house.
But it's not.
But actually it's not. This is actually our neighbor's house, and the reason is because we moved, and our house
It's not
it's
ready.
just not ready. It's a mess. So our neighbors, like let me tell you, it's a real story. Our neighbors, I mean, they came to visit our house. They saw, I mean, just everything in such a mess. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they just were so sorry for us.
Yeah.
And so they were like, you guys can come and spend a couple of nights at our house.
Yeah.
So we are really being spoiled by our neighbors, and everybody should have good neighbors. I mean,
Yeah.
they've really looked after us.
Yes.
So we're
Good
streaming.
neighbors.
We're
So
streaming from our house. So
your
next
house.
week we'll be streaming from our new house,
Yeah.
which we can't wait to show you. But today we're actually streaming from our
My
neighbor's
neighbors,
house.
yeah. And so we're excited.
So that's your highlight that you.
yeah,
moved.
that we moved. Yeah. I love
Wow.
my new house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my highlight is it's been such an intense, like I feel like I started January thinking it's going to be a really slow time. I mean, I didn't have huge plans, but the pace of life has been so intense. And I feel like today I had to record some talks that were like the last big thing that was scheduled. And so I feel like I'm on holiday. You know, it's like, phew, that's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just have that holiday feel. Now I can actually help my wife move. She's done all the work and figure out some of the things that need to get done. And hopefully we'll take a little break,
Yes.
take a couple of days
We'll
off.
take a few days off.
So
yeah.
so I just feel relief. I feel like I've been busier than I've been in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking I'm in my 50s. I'm running faster than when I was in my
In your
30s.
30s, yeah.
And it's just been an incredibly busy time.
Wow.
But I'm happy
Yeah.
that it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our week. We had a great week. And our neighbors have fed us really well. And so I'm actually finishing off my dinner. So don't feel I'm being rude. It's really tasty food.
Ooh, it's green.
I wish you guys were here.
It's green. What's going on there?
It's
Oh my goodness.
It's really good. It's really good.
it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're so glad to have you guys on our show, and for all our listeners, all our viewers, we're so excited to introduce you to these guys. This is like, if you've never watched Asking for a Friend, this is like the best time to start watching. I mean, this is the best show because we're so excited to have these guys on and introduce them to all our friends. And so we're going to talk a bit about you guys and just boast a bit. You guys have been married 17 years. Woohoo, I tell you.
But I must say, only 3 children. I mean,
Oh, come on.
Really?
Stop
Really,
giving guys
guys?
grief. We have 3 and we'll be married 25. So
25.
stop
I have to give grief to some
stop
people.
hassling people.
Yeah.
So
The math will work against you guys. So just leave it alone.
yeah, we just leave that to rest.
Yeah.
So Moses studied architecture
yeah.
in university, and so the most unlikely person to be a pastor.
Yes.
And
And Ari studied urban planning.
urban planning. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, you guys can build a city together.
Yeah.
They're both John Maxwell
Maxwell
coaches.
coaches, yeah.
Both of them incredibly gifted.
Yeah.
And they currently are both lead pastors at Worship Harvest International Ministries, which has 21 different campuses, different
yeah.
locations all across Kampala. Coming soon to a city near you in Nairobi,
Yeah.
and we've got viewers from many other parts of the world. So coming soon
Yeah.
to a city near you.
These
One
are
of the
expansionists.
one of the one of the fastest growing churches
church,
in
yeah.
this part of the world, and we're so proud to call these guys our friends. We learn a lot from them.
Yeah.
And so, man, today, in addition to all that, they're also
Pastor Ari is the location pastor, their main campus.
absolutely
Yeah.
and
Fantastic.
and Pastor Mose has written quite a few books. I mean, between them, they've written
Eight
8 books.
Yeah.
And Mose has written a few on finance, including one that has just become a classic Straightforward Financial Growth. Do you have a copy right there? You should be waving it right now as I do a plug for it. Well
Great,
done.
Great.
And so that's a book that I think you can even get it locally. If you don't know how to get it, talk to us. We'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Fantastic, like primer on.
Yeah.
And then you've just written one on church finances. So for those of you who are pastors or who are leaders in church, there's a great book, and I've got a copy, an autographed copy. I'm so happy. It's the brand new book on church finances. I think those are your two main ones on money, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
Yeah.
we're so and fantastic books. I just want to recommend them heartily.
Yeah.
So maybe what we want to do is just introduce you to the audience so they get to know your story a little bit. So we'll ask you just a couple of really quick questions. We call them rapid fire. So if you could tell us in less than 1 minute how you met, and we're going to start with let's start with Sarah, and then we'll come to Moses and hear his side of the story. So Sarah, less than 1 minute, how did you meet?
In less than 1 minute,
Yep.
we met at university. We were in the same group, Come Alive Ministries. Mose used to be at church all the time, and I also used to be at church all the time.
This church thing works.
So
huh?
we kind of, yeah, it worked. So we kind of were in the same company. And I think what attracted me to him was that, you know, he was visionary. He was this guy who used to dream these
Wow.
big dreams. And he just had big vision. Like he had this thing that he was going to change the world.
Wow.
He
Wow.
didn't look like he was going to change the world at that point,
But
but,
he believed
had
it.
the vision. Yes. So in less than a minute, that's how we met.
Oh, that's
Oh,
such a good
great.
story. So I think there are lessons there for any young man watching so first of all, this church thing works. Hang around the church. And you be a church person as well. Don't just
Yeah.
hang around to
Don't
pick
go,
out,
don't go
pick out-
hunting. Don't go hunting
pick
in
out
church.
some sisters. And then number two, have a vision. You know, have a vision, because the person who's attracted to you be attracted to your vision. Even if you don't look like you're going to,
You have
you know, you don't look like much. You have potential.
I remember when I asked you what our 5-year vision plan was.
This is not your story right now.
Sawa,
This is
that's
Pastor
fine.
Moses' story.
He had a
so,
plan.
Mose, 1 minute. Your side of the story.
Well, I'm not sure that I've changed the way I look.
Your prospects are a little better, I think, after those few years.
Yeah, the specs, even then, still. Anyway, let's see. I was at church a lot of the time, and Ari was there. She was in the drama group. She used to act.
Oh, wow.
She was also this girl who used to smile a lot. She was called Smiley. So she was always smiling. So we started hanging out. She started visiting my room at uni. Her parents lived on campus, so she stayed home.
Wow.
But then she would come and visit me with some of her friends. And over time, there was selection, and the other friends disappeared. So that's the short and long of it.
So some machinations happened somewhere without you knowing.
Yeah, she claims that I never proposed to her.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
She says I came to her one day and told her, well, we are going to get married.
Oh, wow.
No, that's not how he said it. No.
How did he say it? He must
Let
have
me
said
tell
it
you
a
what he
spiritual
said.
way. Uh-huh.
He said, the way our friendship is going, we should either decide to take it a step further or stop wasting each other's time. So I hope to hear from you in 2 weeks.
Oh.
So up to now,
Oh.
I'm waiting for the proposal.
I'm still waiting for proposal. Okay. The
Oh.
gauntlet
I
has been
gave her an
thrown.
engagement ring later on, like, 5, maybe 7 years into the marriage. So
Mo-
I think we settled it.
Mose,
It's
clearly,
it's right there. It's
17
right
years
there.
later, I
I
think.
No, we need to do an experience.
17
for you
years
guys.
later. Okay, we're going to have to help out with this one.
Yeah,
Clearly.
our brother needs some help.
Yeah.
An experience.
Clearly. You need to listen to your wife, my brother. All right. So this is so fun. Hey, we want to just, we're so excited that you guys are here. And we want to talk about money today. Because we know that money is one of the leading causes of divorce and separation worldwide. And actually, this whole month, we've talked nothing but money. Yeah?
Yeah, we have. It's
Our show is about relationships. Our show is about marriage. But this month we just really felt we want to talk about money specifically, just because it's such a big issue. It's a big especially with COVID last year and all the stuff guys were going through. People got
hit,
yeah.
And then again, it's the beginning of the year, so it's a good time to kind of regroup. It's a good, you can plan. You know, things are still fresh, and so if you're talking about money, then this is the time really to be planning for what is going on ahead.
Absolutely. So if you have questions, for those of you who are watching, if you have specific questions that you'd like to ask this couple, you'd like to ask as we continue, feel free to use that timeline on YouTube and just tell us. Facebook, for those of you who watch on Facebook, just tell us, ask us the questions, and we'd love to just cover them if we can. And Carol will keep an eye on those. And we'll just keep interacting with you as we go along. But we have this community we call Asking for a Friend. So every Tuesday, we have a community and people just raise questions, concerns, and usually we share what the topic is going to be that evening, just so people can have a conversation around it. And we had a great conversation today, lots of great insights shared. Thank you for all of you who are part of the community. And if you'd like to join the community, there's actually a link right on this broadcast, so just click on that. And it'll give you a WhatsApp message. Just click on send, and you'll be able to join our community automatically and be part of that. Great place to just grow in your marriage.
Yeah, it's a mentoring space. Actually.
It's a mentoring space.
Mentoring space.
And so one of the people had a conversation, because the topic is attitudes that keep people poor. And somebody shared 3 reasons. I like this person. They said there are 3 reasons why people remain poor in marriage. They said, number 1, poor communication between a couple. For them, this is what they felt. A lack of respect for each other's opinions. And then betrayal. Once bitten, twice shy. So it felt like a lot of that was about communication and also just past experience. And so there's a lot of mistrust. I think just the issues raised show that there's just a lot of mistrust among couples when it comes to money, and just a difficulty in working together. I think we saw a lot of that, but also some really good insight and counsel from different members of the groups as we went along.
Today I think the conversations were really, really vibrant.
Very sober.
Yeah, very sober conversations. I mean, it was lots of fun just watching that. And today I'm so glad that we have Pastor Moses and Pastor Ari, because I'm so sure, having been married for 17 years, you must have a story or two about your money journey. So in our community, people do share about their money journey, and as you see, just some of the 3 reasons that were shared earlier on, people are just saying these are the challenges or the struggles that we are going through. And so we know that you guys must have your story, and I'm going to.
They must have a perfect story.
They must have. They must have a perfect story. But what we're going to do, we're going to start with you, Ari, and we're going to. The question I'm going to ask is, what were your thoughts regarding money when you were getting married? Because when people get married, they always come with thoughts. They always come with ideas. And usually they are perfect ideas, and just various very idealistic thoughts or whatever. I don't know. So what were your thoughts when you were getting married?
For me, I thought that we were going to have the same blueprint on money. I thought that we would think the same way about money. I thought we are Christians, we are around the same age, so we should have the same ideas on how to spend money, on how to keep money. But at the beginning, I found that for him, he was more a giver, more a spender, and me more a saver. Already those were areas of contention at the beginning. So that my bubble was burst just at the beginning on how different our money blueprints were.
Wow.
I'm surprised, by the way, because I always thought Mose was so careful with money. So hearing that, I'm like, what? Dude, I think you needed a wife. So what was your journey like, Moses?
When you're coming in.
What were your ideas of money, and how did that kind of connect or not connect with Ari?
Let's first establish some ground
rules
here. To have thoughts about money, you need to have the money.
Yeah.
When I got married, I was not thinking about the money question at all.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Because it wasn't there.
Ah.
So, So I graduated as an architect and worked a couple of years. Then we got married. And I was really that person who didn't care a thing about money at all. Like I would be paid by a client, say in the morning, and by the time I go home, I don't have any of the money.
True story.
Yeah. Like I would be telling her.
Like by the time you got
today.
home.
Yes, by the time I go home.
And it doesn't matter how much money it is.
Like what do you do with money by the time you get home? Like how does it go? Where does it go?
Who knows? You spend it, things happen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you figure out. So I had pretty much a broken system. And like I tell in the book, in Straightforward Financial Growth, when my mother took me to boarding school in primary 4, we got there at around 3 o'clock, and she left me with pocket money, which was supposed to last me until her next visit. But by the time I went to bed that night, I didn't have any of it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So what was happening in the marriage was just a continuation of the same blueprint. So it's about blueprints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was that person who was so carefree with money that our journey really started changing 9 years into my working life when I attended a camp, and a gentleman came to talk about money.
Oh, wow.
And that's the day I realized I had a completely broken financial system. It didn't even exist. Look,
Wow.
It didn't exist.
Yeah.
I didn't know how much money I made. I didn't know where it went. I had no savings. I had no budget.
Wow.
I had nothing. The only thing I cared for was tithing. Once I tithe, I don't know what happens to the rest of the money.
Wow.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so it must have been pretty much stressful for Ari.
Yeah, in
although
fact,
she didn't probably express it.
express it. In fact, Ari, now I guess it's many years later and you can be free. I think
You can laugh
you
about
can
it
laugh
now.
about it now. But how did it feel to
Yeah.
be led this way? I mean, the man gets money, your husband gets money, and then by evening there is no money. How did it feel for you? You who is the saver?
I guess I was frustrated, but there's so much you can do because Mose is really passionate about the things he believes in. So even when he's spending the money, he has a really good reason. When he's giving out the money, he has a really good reason. So, you get over it. Like he comes home, tells you, you get annoyed, you pull your mouth, then you move on. Because, I think at that point, I just accepted that my husband was a giver, a spender, and it's okay.
Wow.
We will live like that for now. Yeah.
So did you have hope things would change? I mean, because I'm thinking for women, many times security is a huge issue. You're getting kids. You're thinking
Yeah.
about providing for your family.
About a home.
Wait, was this threatened, or did you feel maybe he's just going to change one day? What was your, what kept you going in that time? Because it can't have been easy.
I think for me, the thing that kept me going is that for the time that I've known him, when he finds out that he is going the wrong way and then finds the right way, he will turn 360 degrees, 180 degrees, and go the right way as if he has never gone the wrong way. So he's really quick to repent. Like he'll tell you we are going to Gulu today. And then when he finds out that Gulu is the wrong direction,
Your turn.
he'll change and go to Mbara and say, and it will be like he has never said he's going to Gulu. So I had the hope that if he gets it, he'll really get it and turn, because I had seen him have about 10 changes in other areas in his life.
Oh, wow.
Now, I mean, there's something there to be said for a wife who has hope. Because she didn't give up.
Yeah.
She didn't quit on the guy.
Yeah.
She didn't despair. She's like,
But
I know
did-
this guy.
Did she pray at least? Did you pray? Did you,
I know this
because-
guy. He's going to change.
Yeah, because there are many people who are watching us right now who, for some women, they're like, oh my goodness.
I mean, I'm exactly in that space.
Yeah, I'm exactly in
Or
that.
even a husband.
Yeah.
My wife's exactly
yeah,
like that.
Yeah. I'm exactly in this space, and I don't know if things can ever turn around. And so, I love the fact that for Ari, you had the hope that things would change, and maybe that's really something. But maybe for Pastor Moses, just tell us. You summarized and you said that you had a broken financial system or way of managing your finances.
Financial blueprint.
Yeah, just explain to us. I mean, and you did say that you spent the money as fast as it came in. Maybe you can break it down for us. What was going on through your mind? Yeah, just to help somebody here, just to help someone who might have a spouse who is, completely in your situation.
So a lot of people assume that because you are educated academically, you are also educated financially.
Yes.
And the two things are completely different. Financial education and academic education have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
I remember, for most of us, we come from homes where we were not taught anything about money. Like nothing.
Wow.
You were not taught anything to do with money. And then you go through an education system where you go from primary one all the way to your final year at university without a single lesson or lecture on financial money, on how to manage your personal money. So basically, because of ignorance, you just think, sure, you do what you think everyone is doing. You think everyone is spending.
Yeah.
You think the purpose of earning money is to spend it.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been taught otherwise. So that's really it. That's why I'm very, very passionate about financial literacy and education.
Yeah.
Because I know that if my situation hadn't been intervened by that one talk I attended, and then I started learning on my own, we started learning together. That's what changed our story, because we were now learning together,
I love that.
reading, listening. I would probably still be here. I would still be broke. I would have nothing, no assets, nothing. I would just be spending bigger amounts of money. So it doesn't matter how much you earn. As long as you match your earning with spending, you can't become wealthy.
Yeah.
In primary 4, it was the pocket money. But 9 years after I started working, it was still everything. I spent everything I earned, just like I spent everything I was given in primary 4. And even if I taken another 10 years, I would still be spending everything.
Wow.
So that it's hard for some people to imagine that a person can be like that. But I can tell you, in our context in Uganda, I know that the majority of the people are like that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
When we see money, the
Yeah.
first thing that comes to our mind is not anything else but spending.
Yeah, it's not just Uganda, and I think it's so interesting you say that, because we've actually found the exact same thing happens here.
Yeah.
And we know a lot of people who earn a lot of money, in their 30s, in their 40s, earning some significant amount of money, but then completely just spending it.
Yeah.
There's a lifestyle. There's a matrix. We call it the matrix.
Yeah.
There's a matrix in Nairobi where you live. There's some addresses you live in where all the nice bistros and bakeries and all the nice places are. And I mean, guys just spend money on festivals and travel. And I mean, you look at it and it's
Holidays.
like, my goodness, it's like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I remember just some of the stories we've had, horror stories in recent days of people who coming into their 50s with very little, like you're saying, to show for their working life. Maybe we can talk a bit about, because I mean, this is one of the things that we really just were asking about. Attitudes that keep people poor. And I think I want to just tweak into that, because you talked about blueprints. And I'm assuming that's, and maybe people, I think this is probably true across the world, maybe specifically true for Africans, I don't know. But what are some of the attitudes you've seen around as you go on teaching that just keep us bound in poverty?
Yeah, there are too many things, but the first one, I'm going to lean into that blueprint thing a little bit. We got it from T. Harv Eker's book. T. Harv Eker is a guy who teaches on finances. He wrote a book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And in it, he talks about the blueprint.
Okay.
That your financial blueprint, which you grew up with, which you came from home with, whatever either you saw or whatever you heard or you experienced, you carry it into your adult life, and you're going to stay with it until you actually change it. So you may have seen, like for me, my parents, were professionals. They were teachers. So they didn't, they earned money and they spent it.
Yes.
I think their biggest investment was educating the children. So they didn't buy anything for themselves. They stayed in teachers' houses. If they are transferred to another school, they go, there is always a house there. So that's the blueprint we grew up with of, there will always be money and there will always be a house by the employer. Never mind that for me, I didn't have the house. That was grown up hearing things like there is no money. Every time you ask your parents for something when you were young, they told you there is no money. There is no money. There is no money. So you grow up with that. It's like a thing in your back end of the brain which tells you there is no money.
It will never be
so
enough.
It's impossible. You can't see abundance. You may even be hardworking, but when you're still broke, there's a joke that all women say they like hardworking men, but they resist taxes from bricklayers. So it's not about just hard working.
It's not just hard work. It's more than just hard work that they want.
It's the blueprint. Yeah, it's the blueprint. Or you may have experienced situations in your life that led you to think there is just not enough on the planet. And so you grow up with that mindset. T.F. Ecker calls it the thermostat, the financial thermostat. He says that every person has a financial thermostat. You see, the thermostat, the real thermostat is used to control temperature. They use it in fridges, in cars, in air conditioning systems. So, for example, if you had an office that's air conditioned, like in Nairobi, where sometimes it gets very cold, if you set the temperature at 22 degrees Celsius, it doesn't matter how cold it gets on the outside. Inside is going to remain 22 degrees because the thermostat will kick on the heaters and they'll heat up the room to be warmer than what's outside. Or if it's in the hot season and it's very hot outside, maybe it's 28 degrees outside, inside the room will remain 22 degrees. The thermostat will kick in the coolers and they will keep the room at 22 degrees. So for some people, it doesn't matter what happens on their outside. It doesn't matter if when you have a certain financial thermostat, let's say you're comfortable with, I'm looking for the right Kenyan amount of money. Let's say you are comfortable with 100,000 Kenya shillings. When you go below that amount, you're going to go get extra hassles, because you feel like I'm getting broke.
So you need to
something is going wrong with me. So you go do all these extra things, get a deal here and there, and then to the level you're comfortable. Now, if you should get a deal somehow, and you get a deal of 1 million Kenya shillings, oh my God. The parties that are going to happen around you.
People will know.
Everywhere you go, you have many friends, you are contributing to different things. Spending, do you know when that person will realize that their money is going?
100,000.
When they've gone below 100,000. They're like, oh my God, where's my money going? So you always come back to be balanced around the temperature, financial temperature you're comfortable with. And I've realized that to be true, that every single person I've met is comfortable with a certain amount of money.
Wow.
Beyond that amount of money, they become spendthrifts.
Oh, wow.
Below that amount of money, they become very hardworking. So I like telling people that the first thing you should work on is your financial thermostat. Because it doesn't matter how hard you work. If you don't raise your financial temperature, even if you work hard, you'll only work hard to spend it.
Wow.
Because I did that all my life, because I had a very low financial temperature.
That's so interesting.
So I've spent my years working on raising my financial temperature, where you can be comfortable having a certain amount of money on your bank account and you're not having sleepless nights because the money is there. It's not being disturbed. It's not being spent. Like you're there, you're just itching. Because the money is on the account. So
yeah. That's so powerful because, I think what you're saying is that's so intuitive, because what you're saying is, if you don't work on raising your financial temperature, it doesn't matter how much money you earn, you'll always end up spending down. to the place where you are regulated. And you're regulated by your background, by your family origin, all those things kind of set a temperature for you where you feel comfortable. And the question I'm asking our audience right now is, what's your temperature?
Yeah.
And what's your spouse's temperature? First of all, are they different? Because when they're different, I can see a lot of crisis coming up and chaos. Because I'm sure in your case, Ari's temperature was very different from yours. Hers was much higher. And so when you're spending, you stress your spouse out because you've not matched those. But what's your temperature that you're comfortable at? Maybe that's something that we can all be reflecting on today.
Yeah, I don't know. What is yours? What do you think?
Oh my gosh. My goodness. I don't think... I really... it's a very good question. If I was to be honest, I think that maybe I would have had that same approach.
Spending?
No. Just
saving.
Just having... I think what I hear you saying is both the spenders and the hoarders can both be driven by that same thing. And many times it can be a fear-based thing.
Yeah.
And so even for me, I may not have been a spendthrift. I think I was a hoarder on the other extreme. But then I think it was also a fear-driven thing. And it's also driven by a comfort zone, a comfort level. And many times it came out of not having a purpose, a bigger purpose than myself. And so if I'm my own purpose, then of course it's when my needs feel I've got this kind of money in the account, then I relax.
Yeah.
And that means peace comes from money. It doesn't come from God. It doesn't come from anything else. My money is my source of peace and security. So I completely identify with what Mose is saying.
There's somebody out there who's saying, I thank God for the spouse who helps you spend. That's just I'm just kidding.
So we can tell who the spouse that used to like spending.
Yeah, but even I
marriage.
have my own I also have my own temperature.
What's your temperature?
Like now I'm just about near temperature. You've had me just being very cautious.
You're getting cautious now.
I'm getting very cautious. Because let me tell you, this is very interesting.
So Mose, my wife needs to take your class, clearly.
No, let me tell you what used to happen. He's good at saving, and so I would look at the account and say, "Oh wow, I can spend."
You'd be like, "Is that all ours?"
Yeah. We should use it.
Then I learned that putting money in account for your wife to see is a dangerous thing. So I became a good investor, and a good investor never has cash lying around. And her temperature, now we are.
Okay.
So some tips out there.
So some tips. So just share, if you can.
So I love what you've just said. Somebody said, and I really love what somebody just said in our group today. They said that in their view, some things that are very endemic to our culture and endemic to people that make them, the attitudes that make us poor. Living beyond our means. I think you've just talked about that one. Just dreaming of a life we want but can't afford yet. So having expenses larger than revenue. So living beyond our means, living for others. And I think that's a big one in our culture, where people are just trying to prove to others that they fit in, pleasing others, winning their favor, and yet you're not really thinking about your financial future and your obligations. And then family background. This one said, I think it's what Trevor Noah used to call the black tax, where our parents looked after us so we can look after them, and so on ad infinitum, this whole thing about we educated you, so now you must educate your siblings, and you're really the tax and welfare system for everybody. And then lastly, poor credit management, borrowing for the wrong purposes, this person says. And I think borrowing has become an epidemic in our culture. Just ease of credit. And that's just, it never used to be a Kenyan thing, by the way.
Yeah.
But in the last 5 years, it's become a huge thing. So in their view, these are some of the things. And I don't know, I guess some of them resonate with what you're saying just now, Pastor Moses.
Yeah, but I think there's one that was not mentioned there. And that is the whole thing of people assuming that they know. At the very beginning, you did say that we have not received a financial education. And so a lot of people come at this thing with, I know, what are you telling me? And we do have couples where one person is seeing the problem. They're seeing that their finances are definitely not in order. But then the other one is like, I know what I'm doing, or so I don't know.
And I don't need to learn because I know.
Yeah, because I know. I mean, I think that thing of I know, it leads to poverty.
Do you deal with that? I mean, sometimes as you're educating people, just that sense of, I don't need to be taught. Everyone knows how to manage money.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you tell people in that situation? Yeah.
That's a very, very hard person to help. Usually you have to tell them your own story and where you've been and where you are. Because it's amazing how people who actually don't have much think they are wealthy. Because because of the circles in which they hang. You see, when you hang in a certain circle and everyone is a little bit like you, because they say that you earn about within 20% of the 5 closest people to you. People can think, because let's say you drive a car and all your friends drive cars. It's easier to think you're rich just because you drive a car, and yet a car is just a utility, like a suit or like shoes. So it's amazing. So sometimes you have to take them through exercises that prove to them that they don't have anything, like doing the net worth exercise. Because when you have money going through your wallet every day, you may think you're rich when you're actually very broke.
Yes.
Wealth is measured in what you have on your net worth, not what you're spending. Yeah. So
that's so profound.
There are a couple of exercises we do to help some people, but even then, you still find a lot of people, especially when you train in corporate settings, where we go to companies and earn these fat salaries and they wear tags and what, and they don't know that they are slaves.
Yes.
There's this exercise, the slave exercise we do. Let's say your employer pays you, I'm going to find a very easy figure to work with, maybe 100,000 Kenya shillings. But then how much of that do you spend on rent?
Maybe 40, 50,000.
If you earn 100,000,
yeah,
you're going to be spending, let's say, 30,000 or 40,000.
That's if you're a reasonable Nairobian.
But remember that in the times of slavery, the slave owner was responsible to house the slave. So when you're paying rent, you think you're not paying rent, but it is your employer paying rent to your landlord.
To house his slave.
For you, yours is a transfer account. The money just goes from your employer's account through your account to your landlord's account.
Wow.
But somehow you think you earn that money and you don't.
So good. Yeah.
And maybe you're spending on transport another maybe 10, 20,000 a month. You forget that you're spending on transport because you have to go to work. So your employer is funding your transport so you can go to work.
Yeah.
That's not your money. And then everything, and usually by the end of it, most people realize that they earn absolutely nothing.
Yes.
But it is their employer servicing their capacity to go and work. Just like in slavery, the slave owner made sure the slave had a place to stay. The slave had food. The slave had health.
Yeah.
That's why almost all employers offer health insurance.
Yes.
Because when the person is sick, who is losing money? It's not the sick person losing money. It's the employer losing money. When you're a slave owner and your slave is sick, you are the one losing money. The slave is happy to be sick because then they can be off work. Food, you have to feed the slave.
Yeah.
And entertainment, you have to entertain the slaves so they don't think of running away. That's why we have all these DSTV, Netflix, name it. It's all there to keep the slave entertained. So by the time you add up all of that, you realize that the only money that's really yours is the money that you save to invest. But people never think about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And somehow, because they have cash to spend, they have disposable income, they think they are wealthy. It's amazing. It's shocking what you find in these corporate offices.
Are you a slave? So what you're saying, what Moses is asking us right now, and I think everyone just needs to do an assessment right now. The only money that is not slave money is the money that you're putting aside for investment for you and your family. Are you a slave right now? Because maybe you've got a big salary, you've been feeling really comfortable. You can see the digits in the bank, but actually your bank is a holding space to entertain the slave, to feed the slave, to transport the
Slave.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is
Yours
very
is a
personal.
transfer account.
It's a transfer account, basically.
Yeah.
You're doing work for your employer. Like you said something really powerful earlier, and I wanted to draw Ari into that conversation because you talked about the fact that you had a turnaround. And I think probably what you're talking about then is you had a slave mentality before that, went to this talk, like somebody just slapped sense into you and you came home with your head 180 degrees, as Ari was saying, now convinced that we must go the right way, which I think must have been a relief for you, Ari. But you also talked about the fact that you are convinced you need to learn together with your spouse. Ari, how was that for you? Just this, I guess it's a prayer come true for you, but now it's like, let's learn together, let's grow together.
It was really good because he talks about his blueprint, and it doesn't mean that I had a better blueprint. Mine was just a little bit different. So we all had a bad money blueprint. And so learning together was really good because we had this group of like 5 other couples, and we were reading books together, and we were listening to books together, and we were like, how can we invest together? What can we do? What are those things? What assets can we buy? How can we use our money to invest instead of just thinking that we have money because we earn a lot of money at the end of the month?
Yeah.
So that learning together was really good because that way it's not one person in the couple who is learning and the other person is kind of in the old setting, but you're learning together, so you're trying out things together. When you fail together. I remember one of those fails that we had when we invested some of our money in a car, and just, you fail together, then you learn because, you're learning together. So because we were reading the books together, trying out things together, failing together, then you're not blaming each other, but you're on this journey and learning together. So it was very helpful, and having other couples whom you can be accountable to and with about the whole money thing.
I love that.
And it's so interesting because you find that in many couples, the one who at least is the saver normally feels
that they have a better blueprint.
They have a better blueprint.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah,
that's
it's
exactly
so
what I was
true.
thinking.
And yet the reality is that we marry at our level of maturity.
That's what we always say.
That's what we always say. And so, honestly, it just means if you have a bad money blueprint,
then you
I
also
have
one.
I have.
But it took a lot of wisdom and humility, I must say, for you to actually, you've got this spendthrift husband who's not caring about tomorrow, who leaves the office with a salary and comes home with with nothing that he was paid. Most people would be in a very self-righteous space where you're feeling, look, you're endangering our future. I'm the one who's concerned. What is it that caused you to actually realize your blueprint was faulty? And why was your blueprint faulty? Maybe there's somebody here who is in your position, is wondering, how would you say your blueprint is faulty? Of course, you are the righteous one here.
So the whole saving thing came from the blueprint of there's not enough. There's not enough, so whatever you get, save it. So that's a wrong blueprint because you can't just be saving. So even when I was saving, I wasn't saving to invest.
Yeah.
I was saving for a rainy day. I was saving for when trouble will come. I was saving for when, something bad will happen and you'll need this money. So I was saving for the wrong reasons. I wasn't saving to invest. And so it was coming from the whole thing of money is not enough.
Yeah.
I've lived this life, with my parents, and there's always not enough. So whatever you get, save it. Hold on to it, hold it, so that when you need it, you will then use it.
Wow.
So it was, our blueprints were both bad but different.
Yes. And maybe that's something good for someone to hear today, huh?
Yeah.
There's somebody who's been blaming their spouse.
Yes.
Feeling they need that person needs to look
You're
after
the
their
one
money.
You're the one who needs the help.
You need help.
Yeah.
They need to watch the show.
Yes.
Me, I'm so sorted. But I think what you're saying is,
Yeah.
if I really had a good blueprint, I probably would not have married somebody with a bad blueprint. I would have sensed it. Something in me would have already been repelled. But because I was attracted to you with your bad blueprint, it means that my blueprint also is faulty. There's a maturity level there. That's very interesting.
Oh, that's relieving for me.
That I had a bad blueprint. Yeah, I did have a bad blueprint.
Me, I knew I had a bad blueprint.
I never pretended to have a perfect blueprint either.
So anyway.
Yeah, but I think that's very relieving for somebody as well. Maybe you're listening to this and you've been feeling guilty. You've been feeling I'm the one who's letting us down. But maybe just realizing we both are messed up.
Yeah.
And I love what Ari is saying. When we learn together, then we can make mistakes together and grow together. It's not just about shaping one or the other, but somehow the whole idea of couples learning together. That's one of the things we really advocate for.
Yeah.
And I love that you say that this was important for your story.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of somebody here who might be saying, where there's been a lot of blame in their relationship. Maybe it's somebody who is the risk taker, has taken quite a number of risks, brought the family down with debt, auctioneers, at the gate or at the door, and the other one then is just feeling very, very self-righteous, or just feeling you're the one who's bringing our family down.
Yeah.
You're the one who needs to get the help.
Yeah.
But I love that.
It's very.
We both need.
We both need help.
We both need help.
Somebody asked, Monique Kimburu on the YouTube link asked, is it wise to use a loan to invest? Please share your very honest opinion. So this person is talking about, I want to go get a loan, borrow the money, and then use that to invest so I can propel and advance my cause. So what would you guys say? I don't know what Pastor Mose, whether you have a thought, or Ari, whichever one wants to speak into that.
100% no. Yeah, the Bible says that the borrower is slave to the lender.
Borrow the slave.
You know? And even if we take it away from the scriptures, just to think about it, a lot of the people who have borrowed to invest have lost their money. Like more than 80% of the people who borrow money to invest lose their money. Maybe even 90%, I should say. And so the success percentage is so small for that system to be trusted. And here is why. When you are investing, say for the first time, you are an amateur investor. It's like saying you're going to ride a bicycle. You need to
You're going to fall.
Don't borrow the Queen's bicycle, for you to learn. You don't learn on a small bicycle. Don't start with a racing motorbike as your first two-wheeled thing you drive. The chances you're going to fail are almost 100%. The people who succeed with borrowed money are those who, one, they have invested a few times and they've lost everything those few times. They've learned their lessons. Then they use whatever few resources they have to invest. And when they've grown to a certain point, what they are borrowing is just a small percentage of the whole investment. Like, say if they have built an apartment block, what they are borrowing is just to put windows or a roof, because you can't put that piecemeal. So they will borrow for just those few things which you have to do at once. You need to go to China, buy all the fixtures, etc. They will borrow for that, but not borrow to build from the ground. So that's one. You need investment needs experience, just like everything else in life. So borrowing, it immediately puts you into trouble. The second thing is that, and this is economics, pure economics. When you borrow, there's going to be interest. Whatever you're investing in needs to be giving you a higher return on investment than the interest. Here in Uganda, for example, a lot of banks, their commercial rates at about 24-25% per annum.
Wow.
So high.
Wow.
Now, where are you going to find an investment of 28 to 30% per annum?
And the key,
It's literally not there.
and the key question is a guaranteed investment.
Yes.
Because the thing about it is,
Yes.
the bank's loan is guaranteed. That is
Yes.
their investment to you is guaranteed. You will pay that 28. If you're in Kenya, you pay
have to
14%. But for you, you have to be able to get something that's giving you 30% plus guaranteed. And that's, I think, what you're saying is, there are many people who will claim to give it, but guaranteed, consistent, that's where your problem is going to come, isn't it?
Yeah. So, for example, in Uganda, real property growth, return on investment, is somewhere between 5 and 8% for real estate. 5 to 8%. But mortgage rates are 16%.
Wow.
So
More than twice.
you have already lost. The way I put it, the more you succeed, the more you fail. Like you'd better have a very small thing going, because if you have a big thing going, you're going to fail big time.
Absolutely.
So there's a reason because people don't do analysis. They don't do investment analysis.
Yeah.
And even when they are calculating that return, the risk, the interest, they don't add the risk percentage.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you find that even if you got a mortgage at 16%, if you added in just a risk factor of 3%, that goes to 19%.
Yeah.
Where are you going to find real estate which gives you 19% return on investment? It's not there. At least not in our economy. Most of it is 5 to 8%. But no one does the studies. No one does they just, so investing on a whim, especially among couples. So you find two ignorant people consulting each other. It's like the blind guiding the blind. Guess what happens when people want to invest?
Yeah.
Who do they talk to? When people, let's say you wanted to do an investment, who do they say? Let me talk to my wife about it.
Yeah.
But your wife is as ignorant as you are.
And so are your friends.
Let me pray about it.
Let me talk to my mom. You talk to your mom is even more ignorant than you about investment.
Yeah.
Or you talk to your friends and you're all ignorant. So people don't do the analysis. So because of that lack of wisdom and analysis, I say stay away from loans for investment. Now you can take certain loans, and this is a very far, like for me, it's 100%, but let's say you have a very high return thing going. Let's say you're importing things and you're selling them at a very high rate, and you need to clear taxes. And the more days they spend in the bonded warehouse, the more you're losing money and time. I think in those situations, you can borrow to cut loose the situation and sell the goods, pay back. I don't encourage anyone to have a loan which it will take you more than 2 to 3 months to clear. Anything longer than that, that's too very long borrowing. So if it's a kind of thing you can pay back in 2 to 3 weeks, within a month, and you're back to normal, I would concede. But otherwise, I don't have very many good stories of borrowed money working well.
Wow. Bible says, slave to the lender. Borrower is a slave to the lender. We teach the same stuff. And I mean, I think one of the things that also I would throw in there is there's presumption. There's always presumption because you presume on the future. You could have that very sure return investment, then COVID came. And how many people do you know who are in that position? You see, you're presuming. The Bible says nobody can boast about tomorrow. You don't know what the future brings. But in addition to that, it is also impatience disguised. Because many times, rather than waiting asking God for divine solutions, I mean, why should I trust God when I can get a loan from a bank and shortchange the whole process?
Yeah.
And so there are many, many reasons why I would argue with you that, I mean, somebody even talked about, a mortgage is a good investment. But somebody asked that just now. And I mean, my thought is, again, the challenge with mortgages for many Kenyans, we end up overhousing ourselves.
Yeah.
Just because you can afford it and the bank will give you a big mortgage, you end up buying a house you don't need to impress people you don't even care about. And it's so funny because then you end up investing in something that will just tie up your resources. Whereas if you had done the analysis, like you're saying, you might have realized I could actually use this money, save this money, invest it, and then pay for my house without needing the bank to help me accelerate that way.
Yeah.
So I think you're so right when it comes to the fact that debt is always.
I remember we took because I think the whole question of mortgage, people always argue for mortgage, and I remember we took a mortgage to buy a house, and but maybe we should share how that happened. So we were a group of friends, and we were looking to buy houses together, and for some of us, we were looking for it was our first house really, but we were heading into our first home, but a lot of people in our group were going for the what do you call those addresses? The prestigious addresses.
Yeah.
And I remember at that time, one of our friends, and it's good to have friends, said, you know what? A lot of times, yes, the bank is going to give you that loan. Maybe you're even in a job where you have tenure. There are those jobs where people have tenure. But the mortgage, what you're repaying is so high that is the only investment that you end up making in your life.
Yeah.
And it's and by the way, it's not an asset yet because it's not bringing in any money.
Yeah.
You're spending 25 years to pay for it. It's not yet bringing in money. So and it's taking a huge chunk.
It's not the asset you thought it was.
It's not actually an asset at this particular time. So at that time, we went contrary. We bought on the other side of the tracks, as people would say. And in fact, we had friends looking at us.
It was probably a third of the cost.
It was a third of the cost. And we had friends looking at us and asking us, being sorry for us for having gone to the other side of the tracks. And at that time, I think we only had one salary. He's the one who was working and had the salary. But the only reason why we took that mortgage is because we were not depending on a salary to pay for it. We had shares, we had land, we had assets that we sold to service that mortgage.
I mean, we paid it off in 3 years.
We paid it off in 3 years, and no change of lifestyle.
And our lifestyle didn't change. And I think that's what people don't understand is that the bank will never lend you money because they love you. They lend you money because they'll make money from you. And so I'll never forget when we finished our mortgage, the bank looking at us in shock, like, why would anybody want to do that?
Yeah.
They had... Part of the reason is because they haven't made money from you. They make
money
from
the system.
So understanding some of these things, I think, is what you're talking about, financial literacy. That most of us go to school and get a lot of years of education, doctor, lawyer, pharmacist, whatever it is. But then none of those units is in financial literacy. And I think that's one of the things you guys are doing now is educating people, giving what the school system isn't giving. What's the result of that been like as you've just gone out teaching people this? What are some of the things you've seen as people have begun to understand, as you began to switch on the eyes of your generation towards understanding financial literacy?
Well, it's good. We've seen a lot of good stories. One, just people being switched on to the fact that they can earn a lot more money. I mean, we've seen some people multiply their income times 10 in a year. Like in 1 year, and so they always had that potential to make that money, but they settled for less because they didn't know or didn't think they could make it. So that's one of the areas we've seen a lot of improvement. The second area we've seen a lot of improvement is people to stop spending all the money they make and to start saving money and investing it. Joining good investment clubs or places like that where you can save money bit by bit, but it's working.
Yes.
Because if you just save it in the account, it's not working. So you need to save it somewhere where it's working, where maybe the other club members who are investing or borrowing and bringing back money with a return. So we've seen a change in the saving culture. And then just an increase in awareness about financial things and the general economic thing, where you understand that the money that you are in possession of, it's not just about you. It's all of us put together, we make the national economy. And if we start each doing their part, we can start improving the whole thing together.
Wow.
So we've seen a lot of that, but there's still a lot of work.
There's a lot of work to do.
Because some people, they are too entrenched in the wrong thing that it takes many conversations and for light bulbs to open and reading the right kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of good stuff around us, among our friends, within the church here at Worship Harvest. We are seeing a lot of shifts happening.
That's awesome.
But it's a long journey. It's not just someone has had it, they are going to do it. There has to be consistent progress.
Yeah.
I think for me, I've seen two shifts. One, just cutting down on expenditure. Someone has been spending all this on just renting a house, and you tell them you can't spend a certain percentage of money on rent, or you can't buy a car unless you have this amount of money. So people just looking into their expenditure and living within them, having much more to save for investment. So that's one change I've seen. The second one is people working their way out ever. Someone says, worked like this for a period of 20 years, worked like this for a period of 20 years, I'll be out of that. I'll be able to fire my boss. I'll be able to wake up one day and not need to go because my money investments we work so just that sweet. I actually my way out of matrix.
Maybe the other good result has been where couples are concerned, having a language. Because one of the reasons there's a lot of miscommunication about money within couples is we don't even have the language.
Yeah.
So once people have the language to communicate, when they are reading the same things and you have a common language about income, a common language about savings, about investments, when you all understand where you're going, where there is a vision to what you're doing, you're not just saving because of fear, but you're saving because you have a vision of financial freedom, because you have a vision of passing on some wealth to the next generation. Then when you, I found that to be very helpful for couples, when you have a common language because you have a common vision. So tools like what we use, SF50, what you use, couples and money, that helps give couples a common language. Because without a common language, people find it hard to communicate even what they know, and the other side gets defensive.
Absolutely.
Because they don't hear the language you're speaking. Yeah.
Now you can see why these guys are our relatives. We call them our Ugandan relatives.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you guys just think, I don't know why, we just find you like our twins. And I know you have a very similar vision. You've got a vision to actually change your country and to change Africa. Maybe you can just mention something about that, because I know there's a vision you're excited about that I think I'm excited about your vision as well, because it's so similar to what we believe as well. So just tell us a bit about what you hope to see through your own investment in people's lives.
Yeah, we have this vision of helping 1 million people change their financial story to the next generation. 1 million people change their financial story to the next generation. By that, we mean that if we helped 1 million people live their financial lives in such a way that their children don't have to worry about finances or don't have to make decisions based on money, then we will have one. Because then their children can go on and do much more significant things other than doing careers because of money, not because that's what they feel God has called them, or that's what will help them fulfill their potential, or going to places where they study, choosing places because of money, or, choosing a spouse because of money. All the wrong reasons. People do all the wrong things because of money. So we want to help 1 million people change their financial story to the next generation,
I love it.
where they leave an inheritance for children's children. Yeah.
I love it. Can you imagine, Moses and Ari, what it's going to be like when you do that? I mean, just imagine a million people. I mean, and there's somebody on our group, I don't remember what their name is. They said, am I the only American here? Somebody who was, I can't even remember what their name was. And I want to say you're not. Actually, there's quite a few people from different continents watching this as well. So it's not just Africans, but just imagine a generation where 1 million people were liberated financially. People who are going to end up in poverty. And the thing about our poverty, middle class poverty, it's a very interesting poverty, because you think you have it, but actually you don't.
Yeah.
It's actually worse. You'd rather almost have somebody who knows they don't have, then they have to work hard. Somebody who's a lower class person who understands, my goodness, my survival depends on my managing. The person who's self-deceived, and there's so many of us in that space, so many young people who are earning lots of money and they're self-deceived because they think they're wealthy, and what you're saying is they're spending a lot of money, so they think wealth is how much you can spend or how much you're earning. And imagine just liberating 1 million people so they think different, and their children don't have to depend on them. They don't have to depend on their children because they had that financial security. So we pray that vision will come to pass. We'd love to see it come to pass. Yeah, we'd love to see it come to pass. We have a similar vision, and not you guys. Of course, you dream big. Us guys, we kind of play in the smaller leagues, but that's why we need friends like you. But our vision is to see 1,000 dollar millionaire couples in the next 10 years. And so we're just focusing on 1,000, but in the next 10 years. We want to see some kingdom dollar millionaire couples, people who have enough resource, and we believe it's possible. Actually, it's not even possible. We believe it is inevitable, that it will happen, and that we can actually change Africa. We can change the world, just one person at a time, as we teach God's people to manage money well. Because there are people listening here, like we said, you're content because your financial thermostat is so low that you're content to just live life without that just being safe. But God never called any of us to a safe life. He called us to a dangerous life, a life that is dangerous to the
Yes.
enemy, a life that will make waves, where Africa doesn't have to depend on the UN or the World Bank to come and give loans, where Africa actually becomes a donor continent because the people have the resource to do the right thing for their people. And so I think when if we continue working, as I mean, we want to cheer you guys on. We love what you're doing because we believe there's a spiritual liberation, but then it's nothing without the economic liberation that follows. Because
Yes.
you can have
Yes.
all the prayer, but if you have prayer changes things, but actually God changes things through people. And if you have no resource, God's going to
Yes.
use other people who have the resource to change the situation, to feed the
Yes.
poor, to look after the widows. And so God's people must learn how to manage money well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, the unfortunate things is that I guess we've been talking about the attitudes that keep people poor. For us, because we work a lot more with couples, we're specific about couples. We have seen that working together towards couples achieving common financial goals is not automatic. It is the hardest thing. It's almost like the enemy knows that once this couple agree on this one thing,
You're dangerous, man.
you're dangerous. You
Yeah.
know, there's no telling what as a family you're able to do. And
To do, yeah.
Yes.
interestingly, when we even think about multinationals, when we think about Barclays was a man. It was a family. Just like you and I, who work together, and they founded a bank, and it is a multinational. In fact, majority of the multinationals or corporates, not majority, but there's a good percent of them that are actually family owned at one time. And so that whole thing of a family or as a couple coming together and just learning how to work together, I mean, that is one thing that eludes so many couples.
Absolutely. Let me ask a question to you guys that's been asked on the group that I think now that we're speaking this is so important. Somebody says, how do you get your partner to buy into the idea of investing? Because we're talking about this thing of working together, but maybe there's somebody here who's here, but they know their spouse is just not, is in that place where maybe they think they know, or
Yeah.
maybe their family background taught them you don't work with your spouse, or maybe there's pain when they try to work together. So right now it's like it's just me who's seeing it, but my spouse isn't seeing it. What would you tell somebody in that situation?
Wow. I think what we've seen that has helped is you start by getting better yourself. Someone said that success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan. Sometimes you can be getting on your spouse's nerves about something, but when there is nothing for you to show.
Yes.
So you go ahead and become the better person first.
Wow.
Do couples and money. I don't know how you can do it as a single. Do a SFFG mastermind.
Yeah.
And because what we've had is a lot of people, especially the women, because it's the women usually have the wisdom to know that they need to learn.
Yeah.
The guys are very hard-headed. So we have had a lot of scenarios where it's the wife who does the mastermind first, and then before you know it, the husband comes.
So start
Or they do one for the couples.
So start working on yourself.
Yeah. So you start working on yourself, take the principles, practice them, share what you can with your husband. Because usually the challenge, even that person who is saying that, is even they themselves, they don't know how to talk to the spouse about it.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the language for it.
Authority, even the authority.
Yeah.
You
So
don't-
when
yeah.
you do like the straightforward financial growth mastermind, the language,
Yeah.
the example, the stories, then you realize that the person it's not the sales, and those who think they know, they actually don't. So that's what I would add. Before we end, if at some point when it's appropriate, I would love us to share about how to change one's blueprint, because I think that's extremely important. It's not complicated. It's very easy things, but very helpful.
You know, I'm even thinking I want to save you guys for another show, man. We've got enough.
Yeah, we
I mean,
do.
we do need to talk about that, but I want us to actually, because I really don't want someone to leave without knowing how to access if they want to do straightforward financial growth. If somebody wanted to do that, and they're in Nairobi or they're in Kampala or they're in Kigali or they're in any one of the places where people are watching us from, and I should have asked you this earlier. I'm sorry I forgot to. But would there be an easy way for them to connect, or should we share that information in our door community? If you don't have it easily, then you can actually send us the link and we can put it out in the door community. What's easiest for you?
We'll send you a link, but they can go to sffg.org.
sffg.org.
I think that's our website.
Straightforward financial growth. sffg.org, and you'll be able to learn as much as you need to about the course. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see our coaches, our certified coaches, and different people you can do that with. Or you can go to my Facebook page, Moses Mukisa, and you just inquire. We'll immediately get back to you and tell you. And we do this with people from all over the world. You don't have to be physically present where we are.
I love
to
that.
do it. We have 40 coaches who are offering that mastermind, located in different places. Some in Kenya, some in Rwanda. A lot of them here in Uganda, and others even in other countries. So we are building that base. We want to get to a point where we have maybe about 1,000 coaches.
I love it.
And then we can hit our 1 million.
Excellent.
target.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Well, we're very excited. And I mean, we're going to definitely have you back on the show because this conversation has just begun. And I think we have lots of stuff we want to just mine. We, like I said, have a lot in common. We love just working with you guys and being partners in ministry. And you've heard how you can connect with SFFG, Straightforward Financial Growth. If you're looking for that mastermind, you'd like to connect with it, we'd love to just make that available for you. If you would like to join Couples and Money, that's also available. Actually, we are just about to launch. Actually, we launched our January class,
We did, yeah.
but it's not too late to join. We've just had an intro right now. The first class starts this week actually.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested in that, please click on the link. There's a link on the YouTube page right at the top of that, and maybe I'll share that again. But just click on that link, and you'll be able to get into the Door community, indicate you're interested in Couples and Money, and we'll send you a link right away where you can connect with that. And again, it's just the whole idea of you need to learn to work together. You need to learn to grow together, and that's been so demonstrated so beautifully this evening by our guest couple, just how important it is for you to be agreed when it comes to your finances. We'd love to walk the journey with you and mentor you and help you grow. And I think one of the things that I love about our guests today, they're not just teachers, they're legit. They practice what they teach. They're incredible investors as well. They're not just pastors, but they're also financial. They actually practice what they preach and are helping people receive an economic liberation. Yeah. And I bless God that we have that in common. We are passionate about the same thing as well. And we want to see Africa change. We want to see the world change. We want to see our generation change, because this is an epidemic of slavery.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It's like an epidemic of slavery across, and it's self-chosen slavery, because you have the resources. God has given you the resources to pull yourself out of that slavery, but many of us are just content to stay in ignorance. But I believe it's what Pastor Moses taught us today is the minute you wake up, the minute you decide this is not for me, the minute the light bulb goes on, and you say, as for me and my partner, we're moving out of this. As for me and my wife, as for me and my house, we're going to serve God differently. We're not going to be in poverty, self-chosen poverty. And I think when that begins to happen, something comes on.
Something comes on. And I think we're so passionate about this whole thing of families, couples learning how to work together. That I think we do have an offer still this week, where we're saying, especially for the reluctant spouse, we're offering you 2 sample classes, which gets you, and the thing about these sample classes is that they talk about our family of origin. Yeah. Because a lot of times when the problems that we're going through, the attitudes that we're coming with, when it comes to money, have to do with our families of origin. Yeah. And so that is one of the videos, that is available in the sample classes that we are offering. To get in, though, you do have to book with a deposit of 2,000 Kenya shillings or $20 or
Yeah.
$20, and at least you can get to sample the classes and then just see if you want to continue. If you do want to continue, then you will be told by your coach. Actually, we do have couples, so you'd be put in a couples group where you get to hear other couples, where there's a lot of mentoring, peer mentoring going on, a support system, you know, by couples, and the people who'd be taking you through the classes are actually a couple. So
Absolutely.
so
And we have coaches as well.
yeah,
We've probably got about, how many do we have this
I
season?
think 60.
About 6.
No, 40. I don't know.
Maybe about 40.
I think 40.
Similar actually,
So, yeah,
to
I
what you guys
forget,
have
I
right now.
forget.
And I mean, for me, I feel like
Wow.
every
forget,
opportunity
yeah.
that we can get, we also want to grow and keep learning and growing, becoming better and better investors. But I love what you said earlier, that, you know, it's not dependent on your circumstances. You should actually get to a place where circumstances don't determine your lifestyle, don't determine your ministry, don't determine anything. You fire your boss and you serve because of love.
Yeah.
And that's our goal for all our friends. We want every one of you to serve God because you love to serve God, not because you have to go to work and wake up to go to work. Any parting shots from you guys? Anything that you'd like to say to
Wow.
people as we end? Just anything.
First of all, I gave you the wrong address.
Okay.
Sorry. It is sffgafrica.com.
Nice. Okay. So I hope you got that. sffgafrica.com.
Yeah,
Just type that out.
.com.
Yeah. Okay, we'll put that on the
Yeah.
YouTube page as well.
sffgafrica.com.
So check that out. Okay, I love that. Parting shots from
Thank
you
you
guys.
so much. Yes.
My two parting shots would be have an attitude to learn. You know, go into this whole money conversation with the attitude that I don't know and I have something to learn. And then the second thing would be acquire knowledge. There's so much material on money
Yeah.
from people who have actually made money. So get that material, get those books, read them with the same attitude that you do not know and therefore can learn. With those two things, I think you can go a long way in just changing your money journey and your money story.
Wow. I love that. So develop the
Wow.
heart of a learner. I really love that. And be a lifelong learner. I love that. Moses, anything from you? Moses?
Yeah, my parting shot would be think long term.
Think long term.
Yes, my parting shot would be think long term. When it comes to money, think long term. Don't think short term. Don't think immediate gains. It doesn't work well that way. Think long term and work together towards that future. Be a visionary,
Wow.
not an impulsive person reacting. Be a visionary, think long term. And secondly, there is a lot of money in the world. Oh,
It's
my
true.
God.
It's true.
There is so much money in the world, and a lot of it is yours, and you need to find it and get it
Yeah.
so that we can preach the gospel and go to the far ends.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's get to a place where we are building churches single-handedly,
Yes,
one family.
at every village.
Yeah, I found that Bishop Oyedepo and his wife, their vision as a family, he and his wife, not the church,
Yeah.
is to build 1,000 churches, physical buildings,
Nice.
1,000, one couple.
I love it.
Wow.
And I'm like, I want in on
That's
some
okay.
of that. As someone who's passionate about the gospel, I don't understand why we keep fundraising for churches for years
Yeah.
when one couple can
couple.
build 1,000 buildings.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I love that. My goodness, what wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, this has just been so profound. Any parting shot from you, sweetie? Any thought you'd like to conclude with?
Well, just the whole thing that it's not automatic to work together.
Yeah.
It's just not. And if you find yourself in that situation and you're frustrated, I think there is help.
Yeah.
And rather than remaining frustrated or getting bitter, you know, and losing investment opportunities, I think get help. And I think that's what we're saying. Help is available. get onto it. Do something. It's at the beginning of the year. Do something about it.
I love it. Well, you heard it. You heard it from the experts. You heard it from and experts. I mean that in every positive way, in terms of people who are practicing what they preach, people who are passionate about liberating and helping others, and people who are giving practical help to people out there, saying our generation has to change. They're playing their role, and our challenge to you is that you will play yours. And so we want to encourage you, if this is, if you're in that place where you have been thinking about this, hey, come on, pick one of them. Pick straightforward financial growth. Take the course. If you're ready for couples and money, sign up for that alternatively, or do both. You know what? It's like you can never learn too much. And here's the thing. You want to just turn around. I love what Pastor Moses said. I think it was Pastor Ari who said it, like 180-degree turn. You don't actually have to live in this self-imposed slavery, in this space where you will just you will just achieve. I don't want to achieve my potential. I want to achieve what God created me for. I want to be bigger than anything. I mean, I want to, like Pastor Moses says, I want to plant churches. I want to go to the ends of the earth. I want to endow orphanages. We want to bless people. And for us to be able to do those things, yes, prayer is going to be good. Yes, discipleship, all the things we do. But we want to have the resources to be able to make a difference. And so I think that's one of the reasons we're so keen to help people come together, connect. And so please, this will be our parting shot to you this evening. I hope it's been encouraging. I hope you've been inspired. I hope you've been more than just inspired. I hope you've been challenged to take action.
Yeah.
All the inspiration in the world is worth nothing if you don't take that first step and just say, I'm going to commit, take one step, and see what God does with it. So I think with those few words, we want to say thank you to Moses and Ari. You guys have been amazing. We had no doubt this would be. Anybody who missed this, we're going to leave it on the YouTube. It's going to remain here, so you can watch it and share it with your friends. We'll probably premiere it on Facebook tomorrow. But you know what? We're so glad that we could share this with you. Next week, we continue with asking for a friend. If you're interested in being part of the Ndoa community, just click on the link there, and we'll be always keeping you updated when we have a show like this and when we have new things happening. We love you guys. Have a good evening. Take care. And hey, let's grow together.
And thank you for having us on that show.
Thank you so much. God bless you. And good night, everybody.
Bless you.
Bless you.